Hello, dear friends, souls seeking peace in the stillness of the night. Welcome to my channel, a gentle space where soothing stories are told to lull you into restful dreams. I know that sometimes sleep doesn't come easily. There are nights when the mind drifts and quiet thoughts sneak in, making it hard to rest. But don't worry, because I'm here with you to bring you tales that are both mysterious and calming, helping you relax and gently fall asleep. Tonight, we'll journey together into episode 3, a special story about a tiny creature that holds terrifying power, the red imported fire ant. From the flooded plains of South America, they silently followed in the footsteps of humans, crossed oceans, and invaded an entire continent. With astonishing survival skills, the organization of a seasoned army and a fearsome hive mind, the red fire ant is not only one of the most dangerous invasive species on Earth, but also a symbol of unstoppable instinct and the power of unity. So now, let yourself prepare for a truly peaceful sleep. Turn off the lights, lie down in comfort, put on your headphones, and let the sound guide you. Take a deep breath, slowly relax your entire body, and imagine yourself walking through distant fields where colonies of fire ants quietly build their underground empires. Let this story wrap around you like a soft, gentle blanket, carrying you into another world, where even the smallest creatures can wield terrifying strength. Sleep well and dream strange, wondrous dreams. Red fire ants, or Solenopsis invicta, are among the most remarkable and fearsome insects to ever inhabit our planet. With an evolutionary history spanning over 150 million years, this species has demonstrated extraordinary adaptability and survival capabilities, transforming them into a superorganism with collective intelligence and complex group behaviors. Originating from the floodplains and grasslands of South America, they crossed oceans and arrived in the United States in the 1930s via a fateful cargo ship at the port of Alabama. Since then, Solenopsis invicta has relentlessly expanded its territory, conquering over 340 million acres across 13 U.S. states, causing economic damages of up to $6 billion annually due to crop destruction, equipment damage, and pest control costs. But their story does not end there. Red fire ants are spreading globally, defying all human efforts to contain them. The evolutionary journey of red fire ants is a tale of survival over millions of years. Known as one of the 22 fire ant species, Solenopsis invicta has developed unique biological traits that enable it to overcome harsh environmental challenges. Their robust exoskeleton not only protects their bodies, but also has waterproof properties, aiding their ability to form floating rafts during floods. Their respiratory system, with tiny spiracles, allows them to survive in low oxygen conditions when submerged. Most notably, their complex pheromone secretion enables efficient communication, from foraging for food to organizing attacks. These traits are not only products of natural selection, but also evidence of their adaptability to diverse environments, from South America's wetlands to modern urban areas. The remarkable reproductive capacity of the queen ant, producing hundreds of eggs daily for up to 8 years, ensures that a colony can rapidly regenerate even after significant losses. One of the greatest mysteries of Solenopsis invicta is how they coordinate behaviors without a clear central command. The nervous system of red fire ants, though tiny, is a marvel of nature. Each ant possesses a minute brain with approximately 250,000 neurons, but when acting together, they create a form of collective intelligence far surpassing individual capabilities. Scientists at Harvard University have studied how ants use chemical signals, pheromones, and tactile cues to make rapid decisions, from task allocation within the colony to responding to threats. For instance, when a worker ant detects danger, it releases an alarm pheromone, triggering a chain reaction that puts the entire colony into a defensive state within seconds. This behavior mirrors how neurons in the human brain coordinate to process information, leading researchers to liken ant colonies to a distributed brain. This capability not only ensures their survival, but also allows them to adapt strategies in real time, from nest construction to hunting or migration. The venom of red fire ants is one of their most potent weapons, used not only for attack, but also for defense and survival. The primary component of their venom is piperidine alkaloid, a powerful neurotoxin that can cause intense pain and even death in small animals. Remarkably, queen ants use venom to coat their eggs, creating a protective layer against bacteria and fungi in the humid soil environment. Biochemists at the University of Florida have analyzed this venom and found it can eliminate up to 90% of bacteria within hours, a rare trait among ant species. Furthermore, worker ants use venom as a communication tool, spraying tiny droplets to repel enemies or mark territory. Research is underway to determine whether compounds in red fire ant venom could be used in medicine, such as developing new antibiotics or painkillers, opening an unexpected avenue of application from this fearsome insect. Red fire ants are not just an invasive species. They are a transformative force in the ecosystems they invade. They directly compete with native insects, such as bees and other ants, for food resources, often leading to a decline in biodiversity. In agricultural areas of the United States, red fire ants have reduced populations of pollinating insects, impacting the yield of crops like peanuts and cotton. They also attack small animals, from reptiles to bird chicks, disrupting food chains. In South America, natural enemies like parasitic fungi and predatory insects keep fire ant populations in check, but in newly invaded areas, the absence of these predators allows Solenopsis invicta to dominate. Ecologists are researching ways to reintroduce these natural enemies or use ecological measures to restore balance, but this is a complex process requiring a deep understanding of local ecosystems. The strength of red fire ants lies in their unity and tightly organized social structure, almost perfect in its execution. A mature ant colony can contain up to 250,000 individuals, functioning as a superorganism with each member assigned a specific role. Their mounds, reaching up to 18 inches in height and appearing as mere piles of freshly turned soil, are actually engineering marvels with intricate tunnel and chamber systems extending deep underground. These are not just shelters, but intelligent climate control systems, allowing ants to regulate temperature by moving larvae and the queen to the surface on cold mornings or retreating to cooler depths during intense heat. When faced with floods, red fire ants display astonishing survival skills. They link their bodies to form a floating raft, protecting the queen and larvae at the center, drifting for months on water until they reach dry land. The global spread of red fire ants is not only a result of their superior biological traits, but also due to unintentional human assistance. From the poor of Alabama, they have exploited global trade routes, hiding in wooden pallets, plants, and transport equipment. A single mated queen is enough to establish a new colony anywhere in the world. Currently, red fire ants have been recorded in the Caribbean, New Zealand, Australia, Taiwan, China, Macau, and at least 11 other countries. Researchers estimate that they could colonize 50% of the Earth's surface if climatic conditions are suitable. Humans, through activities like shipping and urbanization, have inadvertently provided red fire ants with free tickets to conquer continents. For example, poorly inspected cargo containers have become ideal vehicles for their migration, while urban areas with abundant food sources like waste and leftovers serve as paradises for their proliferation. Red fire ants are not just an ecological threat, but have also become a cultural symbol in the regions they invade. In the southern United States, they appear in folklore, songs, and even literature, often portrayed as a tiny but unbeatable enemy. Local communities have developed traditional coping methods, from homemade baits to folk remedies like pouring boiling water into nests, though these are often ineffective. The presence of red fire ants has altered daily life, with families taking extra precautions when leaving food outdoors or organizing outdoor activities like camping. Public awareness campaigns have been launched, but lack of knowledge about effective control methods remains a significant issue. In some areas, red fire ants are even likened to a curse of nature, forcing humans to confront their humility before the power of a tiny insect. Throughout the 20th century, the United States launched numerous large-scale campaigns to eradicate red fire ants, but most failed. From the 1950s to the 1970s, the government used millions of pounds of pesticides like DDT, hoping to wipe out the species. However, these chemicals not only killed fire ants, but also destroyed honeybees, birds, fish, and other native insects, causing ecological disasters. Instead of being eradicated, red fire ants capitalized on the absence of competitors to thrive, doubling their territory after each campaign. These failures taught scientists a crucial lesson. Chemical solutions alone cannot control a highly adaptable species like Solenopsis invicta. Instead, biological and integrated approaches, such as using natural enemies or environmental modifications, have become the new direction, though challenges remain in terms of effectiveness and cost. Red fire ants not only damage agriculture and ecosystems, but also significantly impact global trade. Shipments of agricultural products, timber, and equipment from infested areas must undergo strict quarantine processes to prevent the spread of ants. In Australia, annual quarantine costs related to red fire ants amount to hundreds of millions of dollars, while ports in China and Taiwan have intensified container inspections to detect hidden queen ants. However, these efforts are often insufficient, as a single surviving queen can trigger a new invasion. International organizations like the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, are calling for a unified global quarantine system to address invasive species like red fire ants, but coordination between nations remains limited due to differences in policies and resources. The arrival of red fire ants in the United States in the 1930s was not just a biological event, but also a historical milestone, reflecting the boom in global trade during the 20th century. This period saw increased maritime shipping, particularly from South America to North America, creating opportunities for invasive species like red fire ants to spread. In Alabama, where they first landed, initial ignorance about the species led to delayed responses from authorities, allowing the ants to establish colonies before control measures were implemented. Socially, red fire ants became a symbol of human helplessness against nature, sparking debates about environmental responsibility and the impacts of globalization. The lessons from this period remain relevant as nations today face similar challenges from other invasive species. The collective behavior of red fire ants extends beyond survival to how they hunt and defend their territory. With sharp mandibles and potent venom, they attack everything from small insects to large mammals, even humans. Each year, red fire ants cause tens of thousands of attacks in the United States, with at least 80 fatalities due to anaphylactic shock from their venom. They not only feed on plants and animals, but also chew through electrical wiring, causing tens of millions of dollars in damage to power systems and public equipment. Older worker ants, acting as scouts and foragers, use chemical trails pheromones to guide their colony to food sources, creating a logistic system as efficient as a modern city. Advanced technologies in red fire ant research. To better understand Solenopsis invicta, scientists have employed cutting-edge technologies from computed tomography, CT, scans to genetic analysis. At the Georgia Institute of Technology, researchers like Nathan Lott have used liquid nitrogen to freeze ant rafts, then analyze their structure with CT scans to uncover how they link tightly to form a waterproof structure. The results show each ant connects to an average of 8 neighbors, forming a robust yet flexible network that can bend and stretch like fabric. Additionally, microstrength experiments reveal that fire ants adjust their grip to avoid harming their peers, a sophisticated behavior that maintains colony cohesion. These studies not only deepen our understanding of fire ants, but also open potential applications in robotics, with ideas for creating tiny robots that operate on swarm intelligence principles, capable of linking together for complex tasks like pipeline repairs or space exploration. Psychological and social impact on humans. The presence of red fire ants causes not only physical damage, but also profound psychological and social effects on affected communities. In infested areas, many residents live in constant fear of ant attacks, particularly vulnerable groups like children and the elderly. The painful stings, which often leave scars and can cause anaphylactic shock in some cases, create a pervasive sense of unease. Psychologists have noted that the stress caused by red fire ants can lead to anxiety disorders, especially in those who have been attacked. Additionally, fire ants have altered how communities organize outdoor activities, with events like festivals or picnics being adjusted to avoid areas with ant mounds. Community education programs are working to mitigate this fear by providing information on prevention and sting treatment, but restoring a sense of safety remains a challenge. Advanced genetic research and potential applications. Beyond biological control methods, scientists are advancing genetic research to curb the spread of red fire ants. Projects at the University of California are focused on decoding the entire genome of Solenopsis invicta to identify genes responsible for their reproduction and adaptability. A promising approach involves using CRISPR gene editing technology to introduce mutations that reduce the queen's fertility or weaken the colony's immunity. However, these methods face ethical challenges, as interfering with a species' genome could have unforeseen ecological consequences. Researchers are also exploring synthetic pheromones to disrupt the ants' communication system, impairing their ability to coordinate foraging or nest defense. Innovative control methods and the future of the fight. In addition to parasitic flies, scientists are exploring other innovative control methods to combat red fire ants. A promising approach involves using specific bacteria and viruses to target the ants' immune systems, weakening their reproduction or survival. For example, researchers at the University of Texas discovered a bacterium that can reduce the queen's fertility, controlling colony sizes without environmentally harmful pesticides. Another method involves CRISPR to create sterile fire ant populations, halting their spread. However, these methods are still in the experimental stage and face ethical and biosafety challenges. In the future, combining biological, chemical, and high-tech methods may offer sustainable solutions, but this requires international coordination to prevent spread through trade routes. Global case studies on red fire ants. The spread of red fire ants is not just a U.S. problem, but a global challenge. In Australia, fire ants were first detected in Brisbane in 2001, causing hundreds of millions of dollars in agricultural damage. The Australian government launched a national control program using both toxic baits and parasitic flies to limit their spread. In China, fire ants appeared in southern provinces in the 2000s, causing widespread attacks and disrupting farming. Taiwan and New Zealand face similar issues, with strict quarantine campaigns to prevent further invasions. These case studies highlight the importance of international cooperation in sharing data and control strategies, as fire ants respect no borders and can spread rapidly through global trade routes. Community-driven control efforts and the role of education. Beyond scientific solutions, local communities worldwide play a vital role in controlling red fire ants. In rural U.S. areas, farmers have adopted natural methods, such as planting repellent-scented crops or using biological baits made from the ants' preferred foods laced with reproductive inhibitors. Schools and community organizations are holding workshops to teach residents how to identify ant mounds and safely handle stings. Education is critical in reducing damage, as many people are unaware that improperly destroying a nest can cause a colony to disperse and form new ones. Media campaigns, including videos and guides, are being deployed to raise awareness, particularly in newly infested areas like Southeast Asia and Oceania. Comparisons with other invasive species. Red fire ants are not the only invasive species causing global problems, but they stand out for their adaptability and aggression. Compared to species like Argentine ants, Linopithema huemul, or Asian hornets, Vespa velutina, fire ants have an advantage due to their rapid reproduction, complex social systems, and resilience to harsh conditions. While Argentine ants primarily compete for food, fire ants not only seize resources but also directly attack other species, including humans. Compared to hornets, fire ants have a numerical advantage, with hundreds of thousands of individuals in a single colony versus a few hundred in a hornet nest. These comparisons underscore that Solenopsis invicta is among the most dangerous invasive species, requiring unique and comprehensive control strategies. Global policy and challenges of international coordination. Addressing the spread of red fire ants requires tight international coordination, but this faces numerous challenges. Countries have varying resources and priorities, leading to inconsistent control measures. While the U.S. and Australia have invested billions in control programs, developing nations in Southeast Asia and Africa often lack the budget and technology for effective responses. The FAO and regional organizations are working to establish a unified framework, including quarantine standards and genetic data sharing. However, barriers like cost, politics, and differing environmental priorities slow progress. Some experts propose a global fund to support affected nations and enhance training for quarantine officers at major seaports. Philosophical reflections on existence and lessons from red fire ants. The story of red fire ants is not just about an invasive species, but also a reminder of nature's resilience and complexity. Philosophically, Solenopsis invicta raises questions about the human-nature relationship. Do we have a right to eradicate a species simply because it inconveniences us, or should we seek coexistence and learning? The swarm intelligence of fire ants demonstrates that cooperation and division of labor can yield extraordinary strength, a lesson applicable to fields like crisis management or community development. Moreover, their success in conquering new environments forces us to rethink the impacts of globalization and planetary management. Red fire ants, though seen as adversaries, are also a symbol of resilience and adaptability, challenging us to find more creative and sustainable approaches. To address this threat, scientists have tirelessly researched to unravel the secrets of Solenopsis invicta. From DNA analysis tracing their origins to northeast Argentina, to using parasitic flies, a natural weapon perfected by nature, to precisely target fire ants. These flies, capable of injecting eggs into ant bodies, have become a tiny air force, reducing fire ant populations in 11 U.S. states. However, the fight against red fire ants remains fraught with challenges. Past pesticide campaigns not only failed, but inadvertently aided their expansion by eliminating natural competitors. Ecological consequences and lessons from nature. The presence of red fire ants has profoundly altered ecosystems in invaded regions. By eliminating native insects and competing for food, they disrupt food chains, impacting birds, reptiles, and even mammals. In South America, natural enemies like parasitic flies and bacteria keep fire ant numbers in check. But in the U.S., the absence of these predators has allowed them to explode. Ecologists warn that without control, fire ants could cause the collapse of some native ecosystems, particularly in agricultural areas. Yet, their story also offers valuable lessons. The swarm intelligence of fire ants serves as a model for cooperation and organization, inspiring technical and societal solutions. From designing robotic systems to building resilient communities, we can learn from how fire ants coordinate to overcome challenges. Red fire ants and the future of coexistence. As red fire ants continue to spread, the question is not just how to eliminate them, but how to coexist with this species. Some scientists argue that instead of completely eradicating Solenopsis invicta, we should focus on minimizing damage through sustainable management. For example, restoring native predators or importing biological control species from South America could help balance ecosystems. Community education on preventing ant attacks, such as using safe baits or designing landscapes to deter nests, is also crucial. Moreover, the success of fire ants underscores the importance of preserving biodiversity. If humans continue to degrade natural environments, invasive species like fire ants will have greater opportunities to thrive, threatening planetary balance. Future applications from the swarm intelligence of red fire ants. The swarm intelligence of red fire ants is not just a biological phenomenon, but also a source of inspiration for advanced technology. Researchers at MIT and Stanford are developing robotic systems mimicking Solenopsis invicta behaviors, aiming to create teams of small robots that self-organize for complex tasks. For instance, in disaster relief scenarios, these robots could link together to form temporary structures like bridges or shelters, similar to how fire ants create rafts. In materials science, scientists are studying the linking structure of ant rafts to develop ultralight, waterproof, self-healing materials. Even in medicine, machine learning algorithms inspired by swarm intelligence are optimizing diagnostic and treatment processes, demonstrating the boundless potential of this tiny insect for humanity. The journey of red fire ants is a testament to the power of cooperation and extraordinary adaptability. They are not just invaders, but also engineers, warriors, and masterful organizers. Though reviled and feared, Solenopsis invicta continues to write the story of a mighty insect empire, challenging both nature and humanity. As they continue to spread, the question is not only how to stop them, but also what we can learn from their remarkable swarm intelligence and survival capabilities to apply to science, engineering, and our own future. Thank you for listening to today's story. Though it's just a tiny insect, the red imported fire ant has shown us that true strength doesn't lie in size, but in persistence, organization, and extraordinary survival instincts. I hope this story brought you a feeling that is both unfamiliar and comforting, enough to soothe your mind and gently close a chapter of a long day. Now, let all sounds slowly fade. Let the darkness grow softer and allow your body to relax in peaceful stillness. Wishing you a deep, restful sleep, free from worries, filled only with warm and gentle dreams. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to sharing more stories with you next time. Sleep well